there is a website, okay, which has a registration functionality. And on that particular website, you are testing the registration functionality. So you have written certain test cases and you are executing those test cases. What sort of testing you are doing?
I'm just checking. I'm black box testing, because I want to do. I want to checking the I want giving the input, and I'm also checking the output without knowing the internal thing.
Exactly.
What's going on in the back end.
Yeah, spot on. So yes, you are doing black box testing, and you're doing basically, like the functional testing. And it is a black box. So black box testing is the absolute correct answer, and that's what I was expecting, that you'll basically come up with that answer. Can you give some of the differences between black box and white box testing?
Let's start with black box. Like black box testing is a process in which we give the input to the software application and we check the output without knowing what internal structure are working, how internal structure are working. But in the white box testing, we give input to the software application and we also check the output. But to this, we also check the code process, how the code is working. Okay, and the black box testing is done by the tester, and white box testing is done by the developer. And in the black box testing, there is no need to know the knowledge of implementation, how to implement the code. And in the white box testing, we know how to do code. We have to know the knowledge of implementation of code.
Right. Great. Some very good points. And you mentioned that black box testing is done by testers and white box is done by developers. That's true most of the cases. Is it possible that white box testing is also done by testers sometimes?
Yes, sometimes. Like in automation, we are worked as a developer as well as tester.
Right. Yeah.
Automation.
Yeah. I think, like it's possible that you might be doing some, white box testing, but usually it doesn't happen. Usually like black box testing testers do, and white box testing or the unit test cases, most of the time, whosoever is developing will write the unit test cases. Any tools that you know of for white box testing used? Yeah. In Java, Python?
I don't know, sir.
Okay. Have you heard about JUnit?
Yes, JUnit.
Yeah. So JUnit is like one of the white box testing tool, you can say, right? It's a library that you can use to do white box testing.
Yeah.
So there are many, right? There are many unit testing tools that you can, browse around and see what all white box testing tools are. But yes, I mean, your answer is absolutely correct in terms of difference between the black box and white box. All right. What is the difference between a unit and integration testing?
Okay, unit testing. What is unit testing? I like unit. A small piece of code is known as unit. And when we check the behavior of that small piece of code, how the code is working, that is known as unit testing. And integration testing is like when two modules integrated and work properly, integrated, and we check they both are working properly or not, is known as integration testing. And unit testing is done by tester. Unit testing is done by developer, and integration testing is done by developer as well as tester.
Right. Yeah. So few things. I mean, overall it's good. Can you give me some of the examples of unit? So in unit, you mentioned that it's a smallest piece of code. Always mention that it's smallest piece of independent code that can be independently tested, right? So that independent keyword is important. Can you give me some examples of unit and integration testing?
I will. Like unit testing example is only login functionality. If we check only login button is the example of unit testing. When we integrated this to forget password or with registration, That is the example of integration testing.
Right. Yes. Yes. I mean, in terms of testing, you are absolutely correct. I mean, there are so many different examples that you can give. I mean, if you want to get into very down to the method level of unit, you can go to the very granular aspect of that login functionality where you have individual methods that can be tested together, and that's how developers usually do the unit testing. But in terms of testing, yes, your example, as you as a tester will be doing that sort of testing, and then when you integrate those modules, then that is what integration testing will be in the context of software testing. That's absolutely correct. What is user acceptance testing?
The user acceptance testing is done by the end user or customer. Okay, when it is the final level of testing, like final stage after the unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. We have to do user acceptance testing. Now there are two types of user acceptance testing. We have to do two types. First is alpha testing. Second is beta testing. So in the alpha testing, we check the software application in the developer side with our clients. And in beta testing, we check when the software application goes live, and so it's all about beta testing.
So when the application goes live, you mean live to the wider audience or live to a specific audience or a specific set of users?
Live to real world.
Right. Okay. So usually beta testing will be a subset. Most of the time how it is done is it is a subset. It's if there is a public application, say for example Gmail, right? So Gmail is used by end users, like people like you and me use Gmail, or any of the Google application that is meant for us. So when the beta testing phase is rolled out, it is rolled out to very specific select few users. So when they will roll out, they'll say this is in beta phase, and very select few subset or demography of users will have access to those beta features, and they'll provide their feedback, and then it is basically rolled out to the wider audience, and then that beta phase will be over, right? So beta doesn't happen when it is completely rolled out, because beta is still a product is still in testing, right? So it's, say for example, 10% of the Facebook user or Gmail users will get the beta access to any new functionality, and then when they raise the issues and there are no critical issues and things are being fixed, which are raised by those 10% of people, then it is rolled out to like the wider audience. Okay, so that's how usually beta testing works. And yes, alpha testing, you were correct. So in terms of your understanding around the user acceptance testing is all good. Just a little bit clarification around how these things are managed. Okay, all right.